Thanks for staying with us. President Muhammadu Buhari has described as welcoming the release of the ousted president of Mali, Ibrahim Keita, by the new military leaders, insisting, however, that a transition process in the country must carry along Malian stakeholders and be completed within 12 months. This, he said, is a critical consideration for the new government to enjoy the cooperation of regional and international community, as well as the possibility of easing the sanctions imposed on Mali. The president was speaking at the second extraordinary summit of the ECOWAS leaders on the socio-political situation in the West African nation. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It is very clear that ECOWAS engagements with the military leadership in Mali are yet to achieve the desired result in several key areas.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who is personally happy to hear of the release of former Malian leader Ibrahim Keita, however, insists that embracing democracy and good governance by the new military leadership is crucial to the country's political stability.
Nigeria believes that the people of Mali and the military leaders need to appreciate the fragility of their country and the imminent danger which it poses to the citizens of Mali as well as of the ECOWAS sub-region. Mali cannot afford to stand alone. Hence the need to come to terms with the realities of acceptable and workable transition compact that inspires the confidence of all Malians.
The president described as imperative that flexibility is demonstrated by the military leaders as they negotiate the fate of their country, taking into account the collective interests of the ECOWAS sub-region.
I urge the military leadership to consider the immediate release of all the remaining senior government officials in detention without preconditions. A transition process to be completed in not more than 12 months, and the need for Mali's constitutional court to work hand in hand with all the Malian stakeholders to ensure an early and hitch-free return to democratic government through free, fair, and inclusive election.
He said Nigeria will, alongside ECOWAS, provide the necessary logistic support to facilitate the conduct of elections towards re-establishing democratic governance in Mali. The extraordinary summit of the West African leaders, third in its series since the political crisis broke out in Mali, considered the report submitted by the ECOWAS Special Envoy, former President Goodluck Jonathan, on his mediation mission in Bamako. Amongst the declarations adopted at the summit were that the transition government must be led by civilians and the constitutional order restored within 1 year. The ECOWAS leaders also encouraged the Malian military to focus on securing the country faced with severe security threats instead of incursion into governance. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government says it will continue to support the multinational joint task force in the discharge of its mandate, despite being at the low ebb of resources caused by COVID-19 and falling oil prices. President Muhammadu Buhari made the promise while receiving an audience the Executive Secretary, Lake Chad Basin Commission, Ambassador Mohamed Nuhu. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that the president also engaged the outgoing Norwegian ambassador to Nigeria, Jens Peter Jemprud.
The Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, Ambassador Nuhu Mamman, is also the head of Mission Multinational Joint Task Force based in N'Djamena, the Republic of Chad. He is here to give President Muhammadu Buhari an update on the proposed recharge of Lake Chad as one of the priorities of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. He told President Buhari, whom he appreciated for his great passion and commitment to the revival of the receding lake, that the governments of China and Italy are greatly supporting the project and positive action soon to commence. Ambassador Mamman used the opportunity to commend countries which have contributed troops to multinational joint task force, saying, however, that kinetic military approach alone would not eradicate insurgency. He said emphasis must be placed on the root causes, particularly poverty. President Muhammadu Buhari said despite the paucity of resources, security of Nigeria and that of our neighbors must have pride of place. The president promised to consult with his counterparts of the Lake Chad Basin countries and all other relevant officials on the matter. One thing he, however, said is certain: they will indeed do their best. Meanwhile, in a virtual farewell meeting with the outgoing Norwegian ambassador, President Buhari expressed delight at the progress made in the Nigeria-Norway relations in the last 4 years. He commended the envoy for the bilateral accomplishments in the areas of oil and gas, fishing, humanitarian assistance in the Northeast, and other benefits that his efforts have brought to Nigeria. The outgoing ambassador, James Peter Kembrut, noted with pride the substantial growth in the economic relations between Nigeria and Norway during his tour of duty. He particularly noted the presence of more than 70 Norwegian companies in the country, as well as the important step by the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund to invest in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The envoy also cited as a very important achievement the organization of 2 donor conferences driven by Norway that raised more than $1 billion for development purposes as well as humanitarian assistance in the Northeast. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In talking security, the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his political will and measures to end terrorism and other forms of criminality across the country. Governor Zulum gave the commendation at the inauguration of the Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace in Buratai local government area of Borno State. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
With this, the Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace, conceived in 2016 as a counter-terrorism museum, has been inaugurated. The institute, situated in Buratai, local government area of Borno, is part of the Nigerian Army University system, devoted to the study of different warfare with emphasis on asymmetric conflicts and rehabilitation.
The Tukur Buratai Institute aims at training and capacity building for military personnel as well as civilians in counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, humanitarian response, peace conflict and peace building, as well as reconstruction, with a view to influencing policy at state and community levels.
We shall continue to support our armed forces. When we occasionally criticize, we do so with a view to improving on our successes and not out of lack of appreciation.
To the Vice Chancellor, Nigerian Army University Bureau, the Research Institute is among the Nigerian Army's non-kinetic approach in fighting Boko Haram.
And it is part of the Nigerian Army's efforts at defeating the Boko Haram insurgency, not only by kinetic force, but intellectually by providing education, that thing which they do not want.
The development of Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace began with this bullet-riddled building.
Was formerly the house of the Chief of Army Staff, which was attacked by the Boko Haram. And now it has metamorphosed into Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace.
Staff quarters for the institute were also inaugurated. The institute, with 6 specialized centers, has a projection for expansion and collaboration with other research organizations across the country. From Buratai in the local government area of Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with families, friends and associates of victims of the Bell 206 helicopter operated by Quorum Aviation, which crashed Friday into a building in Okpebi, Lagos State. While the nation awaits report of investigation into the accident by aviation regulatory agencies, the president prays that God will console the bereaved families and grant peace to the souls of the dead. Meanwhile, the Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, says it has commenced investigation into an accident involving a helicopter operated by Quorum Aviation. A statement by the General Manager of Public Affairs, Tunji Oketumbi, says investigators have been dispatched to the scene of the accident, which claimed the lives of 3 people on board, urging members of the public to assist with video clips, relevant evidences and information that could assist with the investigation. The Bureau also appealed to the members of the public to not to assume the cause of the accident until formal report is released. Away from the crash, the federal government's determination to build infrastructure is no mean feat. Such projects are either completed or ongoing on the length and breadth of the country, putting smiles on the faces of the citizens who have displayed confidence in the present administration. Anthony Forson reports that the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, alongside Ministers of Works and Housing and that of Special Duties, inspected the bridge.
Oweto Bridge lies on this river, which serves as a boundary between Nasarawa and Benue State. Loco from Nasarawa and Oweto from Benue, the agricultural endowment, and so when the idea for the bridge was conceived, two things were taken into consideration. One, how to move farm produce out of these two states to other parts of the country, and two, to ease the long hours spent by motorists moving from the north to the south and from the south up north, as evidenced, even though some more work still needs to be done with the completion of the bridge.
We really thank the federal government, especially the current administration, with vigor and sincerity, and then sympathy that they made it come true for us. We are very grateful. This is to give us a sense of belonging that we are Nigerians, that Nigerian loves us.
The Lord is very bad. By that time, even by this time, we will drive machine here. But now we are driving machine, even motor. You are follow. I'm very happy.
What is left to be done is the remaining 6-kilometer stretch to link Oweto end to the bridge and the 106-kilometer stretch from Nasarawa to the bridge. With lighting facilities installed on the bridge, all works on the island between the bridges have been completed.
We believe that this is the best way to answer the naysayers who continue to rail that they do not know what government is doing with the loan they've taken. What we are trying to showcase is that, yes, we've taken loans, but we are making very judicious use of these loans. And while these loans might have a lifespan of 20, 15 years, the roads we are constructing will have lifespan of 50, 60 years, and it will outlive many of us.
This government, in spite of very, very limited resources, also having to borrow, is simply doing almost the near impossible in terms of infrastructure. I continue to wish that President Buhari was president when Nigeria was earning $140 per barrel of oil a day. It would have been a different country. But in spite of that, he continues to give support. His commitment to infrastructure and his understanding of the purpose of infrastructure for growth and development.
Upon completion, more traffic will be diverted, especially from Abuja to Lokoja, Ajaokuta to Enugu highways to the new bridge. This will reduce traffic flow through Lokoja route and reduction for maintenance work activities, just as there will be more social and political activities along the bridge corridor, and most importantly, reduce journey time and fatigue. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Away from infrastructure, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo, has said that the federal government is committed to achieving greater feats in the ease of doing business in the country. He stated this at the workshop conducted by the ministry in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Suraj Abdullahi tells us more.
The latest World Bank annual rating placed Nigeria in 131 position among 190 economies in the ease of doing business ranking in the world. To achieve greater feats, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment organized this workshop to engage staff and critical stakeholders on the task of creating an enabling environment for business to thrive and actualize the country's dream of industrialization. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo, says the ministry, being the focal implementing agency of government, is mandated by the present administration to put together deliberate strategies for the attainment of the vision of the country in the ease of doing business.
The 3 executive orders of ease of doing business have been promulgated, and you can see how it has paved way for improvements. Nigeria has improved from the position of 169 in 2016 and also 131 in 2019. And now our target is to make it double digit instead of 3 digits.
To be ranked among the best 50 countries in the world. That is the objective we are pursuing.
We are getting towards improving ease of doing business and therefore getting to industrial growth.
The workshop lasts 2 days. From Kefi, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
You watch Panorama on the network service of the NTA. Let's take a break now, more to come.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Thanks for staying with us. Now to COVID-19 updates. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 160 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released bring the total number of confirmed cases to 53,477 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 15 states indicates that Plateau recorded the highest number for the day with 44 new cases, while Lagos has 27, Katsina 18, Edo 15, FCT 14, Ondo 10, Oyo 9, Kwara 6, while Abia and Nasarawa states recorded 4 new cases each. Others are Kano 3, Ekiti and Kaduna states recorded 2 new cases each, while Kebbi and Ogun states recorded 1 new case each. A breakdown of the confirmed cases by the chart shows that Lagos has the highest with 18,083, followed by FCT with 5,108, and Oyo comes third with 3,100 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stand at 12,460, while 41,017 cases have been successfully treated and discharged. 1,011 deaths have been recorded, unfortunately. To education, for the past 3 weeks, the education sector has put firm feet on ground to enforce compliance with COVID-19 guidelines as exiting students write WAEC. Adiza Godwin Ebune went to some schools and now reports.
14 days since the resumption of schools to allow exiting classes sit for their senior secondary certificate examinations under the COVID-19 guidelines. How well are the schools inculcating these rules and guidelines?
The use of face mask is compulsory. Without the face mask, in fact, no student has tried it.
As they are on break now, we have janitors that go around to clean the desk to make sure they observe the COVID-19 guidelines.
On the other hand, students say the new and different way of learning has opened them into a new world of healthy living.
Every 25 minutes, all students must wash their hands. Even before you enter the school, you must first check your temperature.
The water for washing hands, they are in every door of the school.
They check our temperatures, we wash our hands, no shaking and no hugging.
So when you come into the school, it's compulsory to wash your hands, and then you show them at the gate your pocket hand sanitizer. Then you come into the school, you clean your hands with a tissue paper, then you sanitize.
The school said they will remain committed to continuous sensitization for the students. Hadiza Godwin Ebuni, NTA News.
And still talking education, 22 institutions and computer-based test centers have been delisted and will be prosecuted for allegedly defrauding JAMB candidates. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede stated this while interacting with representatives of the erring institution. Olayin Kauju reports.
The defrauding of JAMB candidates by CBT centers has been a recurring decimal. The latest is 22 institutions from 9 states which defrauded candidates without the use of OTP to make changes for candidates seeking change of institutions to the tune of more than 59 million naira, charging the candidates more than the stipulated amount of 2,500 naira for the changes.
We are going to reverse all those things that were done.
Owing to the coronavirus pandemic, OTP, which is a password, was introduced by JAMB to reduce the spread of the virus, as candidates seeking changes do not have to thumbprint. The board, however, frowns at this corrupt practice by the CBT centers, which contravenes its rules.
When you own more than one center, and one center out of 2 or 3 commits an offense, we will delist every center you own.
To this, some of the CBT centers operators owned up to the crime.
Let me start by also tendering an apology for whatever misconduct we might have perpetrated.
Although the candidates will no longer pay another fee, JAMB, however, urges candidates who have compromised their details to also ensure they change their password and the right thing is done. Olayin Kauju, NTA News.
Talking sports now, federal government insists on the